Something big is about to hit your bank account. I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now and pay attention to this, because what I'm about to say is going to sound impossible given where you're standing today. The number in your bank account is about to change in a way that makes you audibly gasp. Not a little. Not a modest improvement that gives you slight breathing room. I mean a change so significant, so disproportionate to everything your current circumstances suggest is possible, that the first thing you're going to do when you see it is look around the room to make sure it's real. And here's the part that's going to shake you if you really let it in. The financial shift headed toward your life right now has been in motion for longer than you've been praying for it. The seeds were planted in seasons you've already lived through, seasons that felt like pure loss at the time. The connections were being made in the background while you were in the foreground wondering why nothing was moving. It was always moving. You just couldn't see it from where you were standing. But it is almost here. And this video exists for one reason: to make sure that when it arrives, every part of you is ready to receive it, hold it, and multiply it into something that outlasts you. Don't go anywhere. Let me describe something to you. And I want you to tell me just to yourself, just honestly, whether this sounds familiar. You wake up in the morning and before your feet hit the floor, before you've had a single sip of coffee, before the day has technically even started, the number is already in your head. The account balance, the bill that's due, the calculation that never quite works out the way you need it to. It happens automatically now. You don't choose to think about it first thing. Your brain just goes there, trained by months or years of financial pressure to treat money as the first and most urgent item of business every single day. And then you carry that weight through the entire day, through work, through conversations, through meals with people you love. It sits in the background of everything, a low hum of financial anxiety that never fully quiets, that colors every decision with a shade of stress that other people might not even notice, but that you feel constantly. You've become good at hiding it. You've developed a specific smile for the moments when someone invites you somewhere you can't really afford. You've mastered the art of changing the subject when conversations drift toward finances. You've perfected the "I'm fine" that sounds completely believable even when it isn't even close to true. And the loneliness of that performance, the exhaustion of keeping up an appearance of financial okayness while privately drowning in the reality of financial pressure, is a specific kind of suffering that doesn't get nearly enough acknowledgement. Because financial stress isn't just about money, it is about dignity. It is about the way it makes you feel about yourself when the world seems to have a price of entry that you keep falling just short of. It is about the dreams that have started gathering dust because the practical demands of survival keep crowding them out. It is about the version of your life that you can see clearly in your imagination, but cannot seem to close the gap between that vision and your current reality. That gap is real. That pain is real. And so is what's coming to close it. Your bank account is about to. Reflect. What your spirit already knows here is something that the financially anxious mind struggles to hold on to, but that the spiritually awake part of you has never stopped believing. The physical world always lags behind the spiritual world. What manifests in the natural, in your bank account, in your opportunities, in your circumstances, is always the last thing to shift, not the first. The first shift happens in the realm that your eyes can't see and your logic can't measure, and in that invisible realm, something has already happened for you. A decision has already been made. A resource has already been allocated. A connection has already been authorized. The download is complete. You're just waiting for it to finish rendering in the physical world. Think about how a storm works. The atmospheric conditions that create a storm exist long before the first raindrop falls. By the time you feel the rain on your face, the storm has been building for hours, sometimes days, in the invisible architecture of the sky. The rain landing on you is not the beginning. It is the visible arrival of something that was always coming. The financial shift about to hit your bank account is rain that has been building in the atmosphere of your life for a long time. The prayers you prayed, the seeds of generosity you planted, the faithfulness you maintained when quitting would have been the easier choice, the character that got formed in the fire of the struggle, all of that has been atmospheric. All of that has been building pressure, and pressure held long enough and released all at once doesn't produce a drizzle. It produces a downpour. Get ready for the downpour. The specific reason this hit is coming now and not earlier, you might be wondering legitimately, honestly wondering why now. Why not last year when the pressure was at its worst? Why not 2 years ago when you first started believing for the shift? Why did it take this long? I want to give you a real answer to that question, not a platitude. The timing of a financial breakthrough is never arbitrary. It is calibrated to you, to the people connected to you, to the larger purpose the money is meant to serve, and to the specific maturity level required to steward what's coming without losing it. And here is what I believe is true about the timing of your specific breakthrough. Something in you is ready now that wasn't ready before. Not ready in a perfect, everything figured out way. Ready in the way. That matters in character, in spiritual groundedness, in the depth of understanding about what money is and isn't, in the quality of humility that the struggle built in you. There are financial blessings that would have destroyed earlier versions of you. Not because you were weak, but because the earlier version hadn't yet developed the specific combination of wisdom, resilience, and purpose clarity that receiving large financial favor requires. The version of you that exists right now, shaped by everything this season has put you through, is genuinely different from who you were before the hardship started. More grounded, more empathetic, more certain about what matters. More immune to the vanity and the performance that untested wealth so often produces in people who receive it without preparation. That version of you is ready, and God, who calibrates timing with a precision that human understanding cannot fully track, has been waiting for exactly this version of you to arrive before releasing exactly this level of financial shift. Now is not late. Now is precisely, perfectly, exactly on time. The thing standing between you and the hit is thinner than you think. This truth is going to challenge something in you, and I want you to stay open to it even if the first reaction is resistance. The distance between where you are financially right now and the significant shift that is coming is not as vast as your anxiety has been telling you it is. Anxiety has a way of making distances feel infinite. It takes the gap between current reality and desired reality and stretches it until it looks like something that would take a lifetime to cross. It emphasizes every obstacle. It amplifies every delay. It turns a season of waiting into an eternity of impossibility. But anxiety is not a reliable narrator. It is a frightened part of your mind doing what frightened things do, exaggerating the threat to justify the level of fear it's generating. The truth is that financial breakthroughs often arrive through a single decision, a single conversation, a single door that opens, a single connection that clicks into place. The person whose life changed after one phone call they almost didn't make. The idea that arrived during a quiet morning that became the business that changed everything. The meeting that got rescheduled twice and almost cancelled entirely that turned out to be the most important meeting of someone's financial life. One thing, one moment, one door. That is often all that separates a person from the financial shift they've been believing for. You are probably closer to your one moment than your anxiety is willing to admit. Don't let the exhaustion of the journey convince you that the destination is further away than it actually is, because the next step you take might be the one that changes everything. What happens in your mind and body when the financial pressure lifts? I want to take you somewhere for a moment, not to a fantasy, but to a real, physical, neurological experience that is coming for you. There is a moment documented by psychologists, described by virtually every person who has ever experienced a significant financial turnaround, where the body realizes that the threat is over, that the chronic, sustained, low-grade emergency that financial pressure creates in the nervous system has ended. And what happens in that moment is nothing short of extraordinary. Your shoulders drop. Physically, measurably drop, because you've been holding them elevated for so long that you stopped noticing. Your breathing changes slower, fuller, reaching parts of your lungs that shallow stress breathing never reaches. Your thinking clears the mental fog that financial anxiety creates, that constant background processing of worst-case scenarios that consumes cognitive bandwidth you need for creativity and vision simply lifts. And in that clearing, you begin to notice things you stopped noticing a long time ago. Beauty in ordinary moments. Humor in situations that stress made seem only heavy. The faces of the people you love, really seen, because you're no longer looking through them at the financial worry behind them. This is not a spiritual metaphor. This is biology. This is what your body is going to experience when the hit arrives and the account changes and the pressure releases. That moment, that specific physical full-body exhale is coming for you. It has your name on it. And it is closer than the fear has been letting you believe. Hold on for the exhale. It is worth every hard day that preceded it. The network that is carrying your financial shift without you realizing it right now, in conversations you are not part of, in rooms you are not in the minds of people you may not even know well, something is happening on your behalf. This sounds mysterious, but it has a very practical reality. Every significant financial shift in a person's life involves a network. A web of people, relationships and circumstances that are all, in their own way, contributing to the movement of resources toward that person. Sometimes consciously, often unconsciously, occasionally without even knowing the person's name. The colleague of a friend who happened to mention your name in a meeting. The person who read something you wrote 6 months ago and never told you it stayed with them until they needed exactly the skill you have and remembered you. The business owner whose problem you solved in passing, who has been looking for a reason to create a proper opportunity for you ever since. The investor who was introduced to someone who described a vision that sounds remarkably like yours. Networks carry information, and information in a financial context carries resources. The people who are positioned to be instruments of your financial breakthrough may already be in motion toward you through a chain of connections so indirect that, if you could see the whole map, you'd be stunned by the route your blessing is taking to reach you. Stay connected, stay present, stay genuinely engaged with the people in your world, not transactionally, not with an agenda, but with authentic care and attention. Because the person who is carrying your financial breakthrough toward you doesn't look like a financial angel. They look like a regular person who crossed your path at a specific moment for a reason that won't be obvious until later. Pay attention to who is crossing your path right now. One of them might be the bridge. The difference between the financial hit that lasts and the one that disappears. Not every financial windfall produces lasting change. History and maybe even your own past experience makes this clear. Money arrives. And sometimes, despite the genuine joy of its arrival, it leaves almost as fast as it came. The circumstances change temporarily. The underlying situation remains essentially the same. I want to make sure that the hit coming toward you is the kind that lasts. And that requires talking honestly about what makes the difference. The financial shift that produces permanent change is almost always accompanied by a simultaneous shift in the belief system of the person receiving it. The inner story about money, about what it means, about whether it is safe, about what kind of person deserves it and what kind doesn't, has to update alongside the bank account. Otherwise, the old story simply reasserts itself and unconsciously engineers a return to the familiar financial state, no matter how much arrived. This is why so many lottery winners return to financial struggle. Not because they're foolish, but because their inner financial identity never updated. The number changed, the person didn't. The preparation you've been doing in this waiting season, the character development, the faith deepening, the wisdom building is the inner story updating. It is the person changing so that when the number changes, the new number has a new person to live with who can actually keep it. Don't shortchange that inner work. It is not separate from the financial miracle. It is the foundation that makes the financial miracle permanent. The generosity that unlocks the next level of financial flow. This might be the most counterintuitive truth in this entire video, and it is also one of the most powerfully attested, both spiritually and practically. Generosity is not what you do after you receive financial abundance. It is what you do to receive financial abundance. It is not the result of the open hand, it is the cause of it. And before you dismiss this as a religious cliché, let me give you the human psychology behind it. When you give generously, even from a place of genuine limitation, you are doing something profound to your own internal financial belief system. You are acting from abundance before abundance is fully present. You are demonstrating to yourself at the level of behavior rather than just belief that you are not controlled by scarcity, that you have more than enough to share, that the resources moving through your life are not so precious and so fragile that they must all be hoarded. That behavioral demonstration rewires something. It shifts you from the energy of holding on, which is the energy of scarcity, to the energy of flowing, which is the energy of abundance. And that energetic shift creates conditions in your life, practical, relational, spiritual conditions that are genuinely more conducive to receiving. The most financially abundant people in the world are almost universally the most generous. Not because they give because they can afford to, but because they could afford to because they gave before they could. Whatever you have in your hands right now, give some of it, not recklessly, not to your own detriment, but intentionally, faithfully, with the conscious declaration that you are a person through whom resources flow rather than a person in whom resources are trapped. That declaration, backed by action, has a way of attracting exactly the kind of financial hit that this video is about. The practical preparation that makes you ready to receive. Big faith and spiritual readiness matter enormously, and so does practical preparation. The two work together, and neglecting either one creates a gap that the financial shift has to work around rather than flowing directly through. So let's talk practically about what readiness looks like on the ground. Know your numbers. This sounds simple and it might be uncomfortable, but sit down this week with every financial obligation, every debt, every account, and get completely clear on where you actually stand. Not the vague, anxiety-laden approximation your mind carries, the actual numbers. Because the financial shift coming toward you is going to require clear-headed decision-making, and you cannot make clear-headed decisions from a place of financial fog. Have a first response plan. Think about what you will do with the first wave of the hit before it arrives. Not in elaborate detail, just the broad strokes. Which obligations get addressed first? What percentage goes toward building rather than just spending? Who, if anyone, do you involve in the decision-making? Having even a rough plan prevents the emotional overwhelm of receiving something significant from resulting in decisions you'll regret. Clear what you can clear now. Whatever small financial loose ends you've been avoiding, the call you haven't made, the account you haven't checked, the conversation about a debt you've been putting off, handle it now. Not because it has to be perfect before the blessing arrives, but because clearing old financial clutter creates energetic and practical space for new financial inflow to land cleanly. Get your mind right about receiving. Many people who have prayed for financial blessing unconsciously resist it when it arrives, through the guilt of receiving more than those around them, through the imposter syndrome of not feeling worthy, through the fear that receiving big means the obligation to sustain big. Work on that now. Receiving is not taking. It is participating in the flow that God intended for your life. You are allowed to receive fully. Practice saying that until it lands somewhere true. Who you need to be on the day it arrives, the day the financial hit lands, whatever form it takes, through whatever channel it travels, is going to be one of the most significant days of your life. And the person you are on that day will determine everything that happens next. I want to talk about who that person needs to be. Grounded. Not swept away by the emotion of the moment into impulsive decisions. Not suddenly inflated into someone unrecognizable by the shift in circumstances. Rooted in the same values, the same faith, the same character that carried you through the difficult season now. Carrying those things into an easier one. Grateful privately before grateful publicly. The first response to the financial hit should happen between you and God, in private, in quiet, in the raw and unperformed gratitude of someone who really, genuinely knows where the blessing came from. Let that private gratitude come before any announcement, any celebration, any public acknowledgement. The private gratitude is what keeps the channel open. The public celebration can come later, much later, when the blessing is established enough to withstand being seen. Discerning about who gets to know. Not everyone in your life needs immediate access to the details of your financial shift. Not because you're hiding something shameful, but because not every relationship is equipped to handle the information without it changing the dynamic in ways that ultimately cost you more than the secrecy saved. Give people access to the information on a need-to-know basis. Guard the blessing the way you would. Guard a seedling, giving it time and protection to establish roots before it's exposed to every wind. Ready to be generous immediately. The first act of generosity after a financial shift is spiritually significant. It declares, right at the beginning, what kind of relationship you intend to have with what you've received. Make it count. Make it intentional. Make it the first statement of a financial life that flows as abundantly as it receives. The morning your life divides into before and after. Every person who has ever received a significant, unexpected financial shift describes their life the same way afterward, before and after. There is the life they lived before the shift arrived, with all its difficulty and doubt and daily management of limitation. And there is the life they stepped into after, not a perfect life, not a problem-free life, but a fundamentally, unmistakably different life, where the financial foundation changed and everything built on top of that foundation changed with it. That dividing morning is coming for you. The morning that will reorganize your memory of your own life into two clean categories: everything that happened before and everything that is going to happen after. On that morning, the fear that has been your constant financial companion is going to leave. Not immediately. It will take a little time to trust that the shift is real and permanent, but it will leave. And in the space it occupied, something is going to move in that. Feels unfamiliar at first because you haven't lived with it in so long. Peace, steady, reliable, deep in the chest piece about money. The ability to think about the future without the weight of financial dread attached to every thought. The ability to make plans and mean them. The ability to look at your children or the people you love and feel the specific joy of someone who knows they can actually provide, not just survive, but genuinely, abundantly provide. That morning is not a dream. It is a scheduled event in your life, scheduled by a God who does not miss appointments, who does not break promises, who does not forget the people he has chosen for financial assignments that reach beyond themselves into the lives of everyone connected to them. You have an appointment, and it is closer than the fear will admit. Show up for it. We've been on a journey together through this video. And if you're still here, if you've held on through every section and every truth, then I want to say something to you directly. You are not someone who gives up easily, even when everything is hard, even when the evidence is thin, even when the weight has stretched so long that giving up would be the most understandable thing in the world. You didn't give up. You're still here, still watching, still believing that something is coming, still holding that thread that connects your present difficulty to your promised future. That persistence, quiet, unglamorous, exhausting, faithful persistence, is one of the rarest qualities in the human experience. And it is also one of the most powerful, because the people who receive the big hits, the unexpected shifts, the life-dividing financial turnarounds, are almost never the flashiest or the loudest or the most confident-looking. They are almost always the ones who simply refused to stop, who stayed in the game one day longer than the doubt wanted them to, who kept praying one prayer further than the disappointment said was worth it. That is, you. And that is exactly the person that something big is heading toward right now. The account is about to change. The morning is approaching. The before and after dividing line of your financial life is closer than any fear, any doubt, any calculation of probability is willing to acknowledge. Get ready, not in a frantic way, but in the way of someone who genuinely believes the reservation was made, with calm preparation, with practical readiness, with a heart already softened toward gratitude and generosity, with eyes open enough to recognize the breakthrough when it arrives, even if it doesn't look exactly like you imagined. It is coming. Something big is already moving toward your account, your life, your family's future. And the only question left, the one only you can answer, is whether you are going to be standing in an open posture when it arrives. Choose open. Choose ready. Choose faith one more day. Because the day after that might just be the day everything changes. If this video reached something real inside you, if it said what your spirit needed to hear today, please subscribe to this channel and share this with one person who is in the middle of their own financial waiting season. Every week, we come here to speak truth into the difficult seasons, to build faith when the evidence is thin, and to remind the chosen ones that what is coming is bigger than what they've been through. You found this channel for a reason. Don't leave alone. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's keep walking this road together. God bless you. Something big is on its way. Get ready.